"We can't go home, Dad. Mom planned something." Those were the words my little Ethan whispered in the airport parking lot. In the moment, everything in my life snapped into focus. The timer was set for 10:15 a.m., 15 minutes after I was supposed to be home. My name is Nathan Bradley. I'm 55 years old, and I've spent the last 20 years investigating insurance fraud for a living. I know every trick, every scheme, every way people try to fake their deaths for money. But I never thought I'd become the target. And what happened next didn't just save our lives. It exposed a conspiracy far darker than anyone imagined. For 3 years, I believed I'd found the perfect second wife. Amanda was beautiful, charming, everything my first marriage wasn't. But in that parking lot, with Ethan trembling beside me, I realized I'd been living with someone who wanted me gone for good. What I discovered afterward didn't just unravel her plan. It proved that sometimes the people closest to you are the most dangerous. I stayed calm. 20 years in insurance fraud investigation does that to a man. But inside, my blood was ice cold. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. This is the story of how my son's quiet warning turned into a life-saving revelation, and why I'll never ignore his instincts again. Let me back up to last month's neighborhood barbecue. That's where I should have seen the warning signs. "Nathan investigates insurance fraud for a living," Amanda announced to her college friends, rolling her eyes. "He spends all day looking at spreadsheets and gas leak reports." Her friend Victoria laughed. "How thrilling! What's the most exciting thing you've found? Someone lying about a fender bender?" "Actually," I said quietly, "last week I caught a staged house fire. The owner tried to collect $850,000. "Sure you did," Amanda's brother Craig smirked. "Mr. Columbo here, solving the big cases." Amanda touched my arm, but not affectionately, more like she was steadying herself. "Nathan's very thorough, sometimes too thorough." That stung, but I bit my tongue. See, 3 months earlier, my parents had died in a car accident, left me their house, worth $1.9 million. Suddenly, Amanda started talking about our future differently. More designer purses, more expensive wine, more mysterious phone calls. "You worry too much," she'd say when I asked about the bills. "We're financially secure now." But I wasn't worried about money. I was worried about patterns, like how Amanda had increased my life insurance to $2.8 million in August. "Just being responsible," she'd explained, "with Ethan to think about." Or how she'd started taking these business trips, marketing conferences in Denver, sales seminars in Phoenix, always alone, always last minute. "The insurance industry is changing," she'd say. "I need to stay current." Problem was, Amanda worked at a local casino, had for 5 years. Marketing coordinators don't usually attend insurance conferences. When I mentioned this gently, she got defensive. "You don't understand my career, Nathan. You never have." Maybe she was right. Maybe I was just a boring paper pusher who saw conspiracies in everything. But then there were the phone calls, late at night, hushed conversations in the bathroom, always ending quickly when I walked in. "Work stuff," she'd say. "You know how it is." Except I did know how it was. I'd been married before, to Ethan's mother, who died of cancer when he was 3. Sarah never took mysterious calls, never hid financial documents, never made me feel like an outsider in my own home. The worst part? How Amanda treated Ethan. Oh, she was sweet enough in public. Posted pictures of them together on Facebook. Called him my bonus son when her friends were around. But when we were alone, different story. "Ethan's too clingy," she'd complain. "He needs to learn independence." Independence. That was Amanda's word for everything. Independence from my family traditions. Independence from my work friends. Independence from anyone who might ask uncomfortable questions. Last Tuesday, she announced another business trip. "Denver Insurance Summit," she said. 3 days. Very important for my career. I helped her pack, watched her fold that expensive lingerie I'd never seen her wear at home, noticed how she carefully placed her laptop in a separate compartment. "What time's your flight?" I asked. 7:30. She didn't look at me. "You'll need to drop me off early, 6:45. "On a Tuesday? That's unusual." "It's a busy conference. Everyone flies out early." I nodded. But something felt wrong, like when you smell gas but can't find the leak. That night, Ethan crawled into bed with us. A nightmare, he said, about the house burning down. Just a dream, buddy, I whispered. But Amanda was awake too, staring at the ceiling. And for just a moment, in the darkness, I could have sworn she was smiling. Tuesday morning came gray and cold. September 12th, 2024, a date I'll never forget. Amanda was unusually cheerful at breakfast. This trip is going to change everything, she said, buttering Ethan's toast. When I get back, we'll be in a much better position. What kind of position? I asked. Financial? Personal? You'll see. Ethan picked at his food. He'd been quiet all week, withdrawn, the kind of behavior that worried me as a father. You okay, buddy? He glanced at Amanda, then back at his plate. I'm fine, Dad. But he wasn't fine, I could tell. We loaded Amanda's luggage into my 2019 Honda Pilot, 2 expensive suitcases, the Louis Vuitton set she'd bought last month, $2,400 for luggage. When I'd questioned the expense, she'd snapped. It's an investment, Nathan. Image matters in my business. Now, driving to the airport, I did the math. The luggage, the insurance increase, the mysterious calls, Amanda's gambling, because yes, I'd figured that out too. Last week, I'd found a bank statement in her purse. Withdrawals from Atlantic City Casino. $43,000 in 3 months. When I'd confronted her, she'd laughed it off. Occasional entertainment, she'd said. I'm not addicted. But I knew addiction. Saw it in insurance claims all the time. The desperate lies. The escalating risks. The moment when someone crosses the line from victim to perpetrator. Amanda owed money. Serious money. The kind that makes people desperate. And desperate people do desperate things. Dad, Ethan said softly from the back seat, do we have to go straight home? Why wouldn't we? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, can we get breakfast somewhere, like McDonald's? Amanda turned around, her voice sharp. Ethan needs to learn routine, discipline, not fast food rewards. But I heard something else in her tone. Urgency, like she needed us to stick to the schedule. Maybe breakfast isn't a bad idea, I said. No, Amanda's voice was firm. Home. Ethan has responsibilities. What responsibilities? It was a Tuesday morning. Kid didn't have school for another hour. At the airport, Amanda kissed us both goodbye. Her lips felt cold against my cheek. Mechanical. I'll call when I land, she said. Take care of each other. She walked into the terminal without looking back, pulling those expensive suitcases, wearing the black coat I'd bought her for Christmas. And that's when it hit me. Denver in September? High of 62 degrees. Why pack summer clothes? I sat in the parking garage, engine running, watching the departure boards through the windshield. Amanda's flight, United 1247 to Denver, showed on time. But something was wrong, had been wrong for weeks. The insurance increase, the gambling debts, the mysterious trips, the way she'd been pushing Ethan away, like she was disconnecting, like she was preparing for something. Dad? Ethan's voice was small, scared. What is it, buddy? I heard Mom talking last night. On the phone. My stomach dropped. What did you hear? She was in the bathroom. I got up to get water. She said something about making sure the timer works. Timer. In 20 years of investigating insurance fraud, that word made my blood freeze. What else did she say? Something about gas, and that the smell goes away fast. Ethan's voice cracked. Dad, I'm scared. I turned around to look at my son, 7 years old, brown hair like his mother's, eyes full of trust and fear, and suddenly everything clicked. The increased life insurance, the gambling debts, the mysterious calls. Trevor Walsh, Amanda's ex-boyfriend who'd been showing up at the house when I wasn't there. The same Trevor Walsh I'd run a background check on last week. Convicted of insurance fraud in 2019. Disgraced plumber who'd tampered with gas lines for money. Ethan, I said carefully, we can't go home right now. Why not? Because your stepmother wants me dead. Because she's planned this for months. Because she thinks I'm just a boring investigator who won't figure it out in time. But I didn't say that. Instead, I pulled out my phone and dialed Detective Julie Carson, my partner for 8 years, the only person who'd believe what I was about to tell her. Julie, it's Nathan. I need an emergency gas inspection at my house. Right now. What's wrong? I think my wife just tried to kill me. Nathan, slow down. Julie's voice was calm but alert. Tell me exactly what you think is happening. I was still parked in the airport garage. Ethan buckled in behind me, clutching his Spider-Man backpack. The kid was trying to be brave, but I could see his hands shaking. Amanda's been lying about everything. The business trips, the conferences, the money. She owes $638,000 to Atlantic City Casino. How do you know that? Bank statements. I found them last week, confronted her about it. And she said it was under control. But Julie, she increased my life insurance to $2.8 million in August. Then starts talking about how financially secure we'll be. Silence on the other end. Julie was processing. Same way she did when we reviewed fraud cases. What about the gas timer? Trevor Walsh, Amanda's ex-boyfriend, convicted of insurance fraud 3 years ago. Been coming around when I'm at work. The plumber? Former plumber. Lost his license after the conviction, but he'd still know how to tamper with gas lines. I heard Julie typing, running Trevor's name through the system. Nathan, his record shows escalating financial crimes. Started with fake invoices, moved to property damage schemes. Murder for hire? It's possible. Where are you now? Airport parking garage. Just dropped Amanda off for a fake conference in Denver. Stay there. I'm calling the gas company emergency line. We need someone at your house in the next hour. I hung up and turned to Ethan. You did good telling me about that phone call, buddy. Is Mom in trouble? How do you explain to a 7-year-old that his stepmother wants his father dead? That the woman who made him breakfast this morning was planning to collect insurance money from our deaths? I don't know yet, but we're going to find out. My phone buzzed. Text message from Amanda. Landed safely. Miss you both already. Home Thursday night. Except her flight didn't leave for another 30 minutes. I screenshotted the message. Evidence. Then I called Northwestern Mutual, my insurance company. Claims department, this is Kevin. Kevin, this is Nathan Bradley. Policy number NM8847692. I need to know when my life insurance was last modified. Let me check that for you, Mr. Bradley. Keyboard clicks. Shows here that beneficiary and coverage amount were changed on August 15th. Increased from $400,000 to $2.8 million. Beneficiary changed to Amanda Bradley, sole. Who authorized that change? Both signatures required for that amount, yours and your wife's. Except I'd never signed anything in August. I'd been in Connecticut, settling my parents' estate. Can you email me a copy of those authorization documents? Certainly. May I ask why? Fraud investigation. Another piece of evidence. Amanda had forged my signature. Premeditated. My phone rang. Julie. Gas company's en route. ETA 20 minutes. I'm meeting them there. What should I tell Ethan? The truth. Age-appropriate version. Kids old enough to understand that some adults make bad choices. I looked at my son in the rearview mirror. His Spider-Man backpack. His innocent face. The boy who'd trusted me enough to share what he'd overheard. Ethan, remember how I investigate people who lie to insurance companies? He nodded. Well, I think Amanda might have lied about some things. We're going to have some police officers check our house to make sure it's safe. Because of the timer? Smart kid. Too smart for his own good sometimes. Because of the timer. 20 minutes later, we met Julie at the corner of Elm and 3rd. 2 gas company trucks were already in my driveway. Men in hard hats carrying detection equipment. What's the story? I asked. Emergency leak detection. We told them anonymous tip about unusual gas odor. The lead technician, a guy named Pete, waved me over. You the homeowner? Yes. Find anything? Pressure readings are off. Way off. Normal residential pressure is 7 psi. Your house is reading 15.2. What does that mean? Means someone's been messing with your gas lines. Potentially dangerous levels. Julie stepped closer. How dangerous? 1 spark, wrong time, level an entire house. Ethan grabbed my hand. Dad? It's okay, buddy. We're safe. Pete led us around to the basement access. Found something else you need to see. Behind the water heater, tucked into the wall cavity, A small black device, digital timer, wires leading to the main gas line. Remote activation, Pete explained. Someone could trigger this from anywhere. When was it set for? Pete checked the display. 10:15 a.m. today. The exact time I usually got home from dropping Ethan at school. Julie was already on her radio. Need backup units at 847 Elm Street. Possible attempted murder. I felt sick. Not angry yet. That would come later. Just sick. Amanda had planned this down to the minute. Drop her off at 7:30. Drive home, drop off Ethan, return by 10:15. Boom. Insurance investigators find tragic gas explosion. Faulty equipment. No one to blame. $2.8 million payout to grieving widow. Mr. Bradley? Pete was talking to me. We need you to identify everyone who's had access to this basement. Just family and... I stopped. Trevor Walsh, Amanda's friend. He's been doing some handyman work. When was he here last? Monday, yesterday. I paused. Amanda said he was fixing the water pressure. Water pressure's fine, but your gas line's been modified. Professional job. Someone knew what they were doing. Julie put her hand on my shoulder. Nathan, we need to talk. There's something else, Julie said, pulling me aside while Pete's team documented the timer device. I ran Trevor Walsh's financials. He's in deep with some loan sharks. Owes $120,000 to a guy named Vincent Torelli. Never heard of him. You wouldn't want to. Torelli doesn't do payment plans. He does body casts. I watched the gas technicians work, photographing everything, taking pressure readings, treating my basement like a crime scene, because it was a crime scene. How long have you suspected? Julie asked. Honestly, just this morning. But looking back, I shook my head. The signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. That's not your fault. Domestic situations are different. Emotional investment makes us blind. Ethan saw it before I did. Kids are good at reading people. No emotional filters. Ethan was sitting in Julie's patrol car, playing a game on her tablet. Safe. Protected. The kid who'd saved both our lives, with 6 words. We can't go home, Dad. Mom planned something. My phone buzzed. Another text from Amanda. Conference is amazing. Learning so much. How's Ethan? I showed Julie. She's still playing the part. Text her back. Keep it normal. I typed, Ethan's fine. We're just hanging out at home. Her response came immediately. Good. Kiss him for me. Kiss him goodbye, she meant. Nathan, Pete called from the basement. Need you to see this. We went downstairs. He was pointing to the gas valve behind the water heater. This modification? It's sophisticated. Remote controlled, timer activated. But there's something else. What? Fail-safe mechanism. If someone tried to shut off the gas manually, it would trigger immediately. Julie frowned. Meaning the wood? Meaning if you come home, smelled gas and tried to turn it off? Boom! No matter what time it was. The room went quiet. Even the other technicians stopped working. So this wasn't just about the timing, I said slowly. No, sir. This was about making sure you didn't survive. Period. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not fear anymore, something else. Professional interest. For 20 years, I'd studied insurance fraud. Every scheme, every angle, every way people tried to beat the system. But this was personal. And personal cases were my specialty. Julie, I need to make some calls. To who? Kevin Walsh, forensic accountant. Owes me a favor from the Hendricks case. What for? Amanda's been moving money around. If she's planning to disappear after collecting insurance, she'll need clean accounts. Offshore, probably. Julie nodded. What else? Patricia Cox, best insurance defense attorney in the state. If Amanda's planning this level of fraud, she'll have thought about legal challenges. You think she has a lawyer? I think she has an exit strategy. These aren't amateur mistakes, Julie. Someone helped her plan this. My phone rang. Unknown number. Nathan Bradley. Mr. Bradley, this is Captain Morris from the fire department. We understand you've had some concerns about gas safety. That's right. We'd like to send an inspector over, just to make sure everything's properly documented. Documented for what? Well, sir, if this device had gone off as planned, we're talking about a potential homicide investigation. We want everything by the book. homicide investigation. That made it real. Amanda hadn't just wanted me gone, she'd wanted me dead, and she'd almost pulled it off. Captain, send whoever you need. We'll be here. I hung up and looked at Julie. How many people you think she told about this plan? Hopefully not many. Why? Because somewhere out there, someone else knows what Amanda was planning. Trevor didn't design this alone. Too sophisticated. You thinking conspiracy? I'm thinking Amanda's not as smart as she thinks she is, and someone's going to talk. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Amanda. It was a number I didn't recognize, with a message that made my blood run cold. Your wife's not in Denver. Thought you should know. Julie, look at this. I showed her the anonymous text. She frowned. Who's the number? Don't know, but they're right. Amanda's flight doesn't actually leave until 8:15. I checked. So where is she? Good question. Julie called the airline. After 10 minutes of hold music and transfers, she got an answer. Amanda Bradley never boarded United 1247 to Denver. Ticket was purchased, but never used. So she's still in town. Has to be. Question is where. I thought about Amanda's routines, her habits. Where would she go to wait out a murder? The casino, I said. Atlantic City. Perfect alibi. She's been going there for months. Lots of cameras, lots of witnesses. But that's 3 hours away. Not if she left last night. Told me she was going to bed early for the flight. But what if she left after I fell asleep? Julie was already calling Atlantic City PD. This is Detective Carson, requesting welfare check on Amanda Bradley. While she talked, my phone rang. Kevin Walsh, the forensic accountant. Nathan, you said this was urgent? Amanda's been moving money. Need to know where and when. Give me account numbers. I rattled off our joint accounts. Kevin worked his magic, the same software he'd used to crack the Hendricks insurance scheme. Nathan, you're not going to like this. Your wife's been draining accounts for 3 months. Small amounts, different patterns, but it adds up to $240,000. Where'd it go? Offshore. Cayman Islands account. Opened August 1st under the name A. Walsh. Walsh. Trevor's last name. Kevin, can you trace recent activity? Last withdrawal was yesterday night, 11:30 p.m. ATM in Atlantic City. She's there. Gets worse, Nathan. The Cayman account? It's set up for automatic transfers. Soon as any life insurance claim gets processed, money moves offshore within 24 hours. I felt the pieces clicking together. The insurance increase, the offshore accounts, the gas explosion timer, all coordinated, all planned. Amanda hadn't just wanted me dead. She'd wanted to disappear afterward. Julie finished her call. Atlantic City confirms Amanda Bradley checked into the Borgata Hotel last night, 11:45 p.m., paid cash. Perfect alibi, 200 miles away when the explosion happens. Except now we know about it. My phone buzzed with a group text. Amanda to me, her brother Craig, and several neighbors. Missing Nathan and Ethan so much. Denver conference is great, but can't wait to get home to my boys. Attached was a selfie. Amanda in what looked like a hotel room, smiling. Timestamp 10:30 a.m. She's building her alibi in real time, Julie said. Social media evidence that she's out of state. But I was studying the photo. Something was wrong. Julie, that's not a Denver hotel room. How can you tell? The wallpaper, art style, that's East Coast decor. And look at the window. In the background, barely visible, ocean view. She's still in Atlantic City, posting fake location tags. Julie screenshotted everything. This is all evidence now. At that moment, my neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, walked over from her yard. Nathan, honey, I saw all the emergency vehicles. Everything okay? Gas leak, I said simply. Just being cautious. Oh my. Well, you're smart to be careful, especially with Amanda away. Julie and I exchanged glances. Mrs. Peterson, Julie said carefully, did you see Amanda leave this morning? Oh, no, dear. Amanda left last night. Around 11:30. Big suitcases. Looked like she was going somewhere important. Another witness. More evidence of Amanda's lies. Did you see anyone else around the house recently? I asked. That handyman fellow. Trevor? He's been here quite a bit. Yesterday afternoon he was down in your basement for hours. Hours? At least 3. I was gardening, saw his van the whole time. Nice young man, very thorough with his work. Thorough. That was one word for it. My phone rang. Patricia Cox, the insurance attorney. Nathan, you said this was urgent? Something about policy fraud? Someone forged my signature to increase my life insurance, then tried to kill me to collect. Dear God, who's the beneficiary? My wife, soon to be ex-wife. Nathan, listen carefully. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything, and document everything. If she's attempted murder for insurance fraud, this case is going to be big. How big? Federal charges big. Insurance fraud over $1 million is automatic FBI involvement. At attempted murder, she's looking at life without parole. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger yet, something colder, more focused. For 3 years, Amanda had made me feel stupid, boring, like I didn't understand the world. But I understood fraud, better than anyone, and I was about to show her exactly how well. Patricia, can you meet me at the police station? I think we're going to need legal representation. For you? For when Amanda comes home. I hung up and looked at Julie. How long before she realizes her plan failed? Well, the explosion was supposed to happen 15 minutes ago, and she hasn't heard from Trevor. Where is Trevor? Picked him up 20 minutes ago. He's in custody, singing like a canary. What's he saying? That Amanda promised him $50,000 to tamper with your gas lines. Said you'd be at work when it happened. Except I wasn't. Except you weren't. Mrs. Peterson was still standing there, trying to follow the conversation. Is Amanda in some kind of trouble? She asked. Julie and I looked at each other. Then I made a decision. Mrs. Peterson, Amanda tried to kill me and my son for insurance money. She's going to be arrested when she gets home. My neighbor's face went white. Oh, my dear Lord. And that's when I realized this wasn't going to be private anymore. This was going to be public, very public. Amanda had wanted me dead quietly, but I was going to expose her very, very loudly. Amanda's social media post stopped at 11 o'clock a.m. That's when Trevor was supposed to call her, Julie explained, signal that the job was done. But Trevor was in interview room B, hands shaking, telling Detective Carson everything he knew. I watched through the one-way glass. 20 years of insurance investigations had taught me to read body language. Trevor wasn't just scared, he was panicked. She said it would look like an accident, Trevor was saying. Gas leak happens all the time in old houses. Whose idea was the timer? Julie asked. Amanda's. She planned everything, down to the minute. Why'd you agree to it? Trevor looked up, eyes hollow. Vincent Torelli told me I had 2 weeks to pay what I owed, or he'd break my kneecaps. How much? $120,000. Amanda offered $50 up front, $50 more after the insurance paid out. And you believe she'd pay the second half? She showed me the policy documents. $2.8 million, said $50,000 was nothing compared to that. I turned to Julie. He's telling the truth. How can you tell? 20 years of fraud investigations. Liars elaborate. Truth-tellers give simple facts. My phone buzzed. Another text from Amanda. Conference running late. Might not be home until Friday. Miss you both so much? She knows, I said. Something spooked her. Julie nodded. Probably tried calling Trevor. When he didn't answer, she's buying time, trying to figure out what went wrong, or how to get out of the country. That thought hadn't occurred to me, but Amanda was smart. If her plan had failed, she'd need an exit strategy. Julie, can you put a hold on her passport? Already done, soon as we confirm the timer device. At 2:30 p.m., Amanda's Uber pulled into our driveway. I was sitting on the front porch, calm, composed. Everything she'd never seen me be during a crisis. Julie's patrol car was hidden around the corner. Fire department vehicles were gone. Gas company trucks were gone. Everything looked normal, except for the 20 neighbors who'd gathered to watch. Mrs. Peterson had been busy. Amanda got out of the Uber, pulling her expensive luggage. She looked surprised to see me home so early. Nathan, what are you doing here? Is everything okay? Everything's fine now, I said. How was Denver? She hesitated, just for a second, but I caught it. Wonderful. Very productive. Where's Ethan? Safe. Another hesitation. Safe? Why wouldn't he be safe? Well, I said, standing up slowly, This morning we discovered someone had tampered with our gas lines, rigged them to explode at 10:15 a.m. Amanda's face went completely white. That's terrible. Thank God you're okay. Did they catch who did it? Oh, yes, I said. We caught who did it. At that moment, Julie's patrol car pulled around the corner, followed by 2 more police units, and a fire marshal's truck, and Captain Morris from the fire department. The neighbors stepped closer. Mrs. Peterson, the Johnsons from next door, Mr. Carver from across the street, all watching. Amanda looked around, realizing she was surrounded. Nathan, what's going on? Amanda Bradley, Julie said, stepping out of her car. You're under arrest for attempted murder, insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit arson. This is insane, Amanda's voice cracked. I've been in Denver. Check the hotel records. We did, I said quietly. You've been at the Borgata in Atlantic City since 11:30 last night. That's not... I can prove... With fake social media posts? Doctored hotel room photos? Trevor already confessed, Amanda. It's over. She stared at me like I was a stranger. You don't understand. I never meant for Ethan to get hurt. But you meant for me to die. The neighbors gasped. Mrs. Peterson actually covered her mouth. For $2.8 million, I continued. Money you'd already moved to an offshore account under Trevor's name. How did you... Amanda stopped herself. How did I figure it out? I investigate insurance fraud for a living. Remember that boring job you loved to mock? Julie stepped forward with handcuffs. Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent. Wait, Amanda's voice was desperate. Nathan, please, we can work this out. I was desperate. The gambling debts. I never meant... You set a timer to kill me 15 minutes after I got home from dropping our son at school. The words hung in the air. Even the neighbors were silent. You planned my funeral while making me breakfast. Kissed me goodbye, knowing it was the last time you'd see me alive. Amanda was crying now, but not from remorse, from fear. Nathan, please, I love you. No, I said. You loved my insurance policy. Julie finished reading the Miranda rights, led Amanda toward the patrol car. As they passed me, Amanda whispered, How did you know about the offshore accounts? I looked at her. This woman I'd shared a bed with, made future plans with, trusted completely. I didn't, until you just confirmed it. Her face crumpled. One more thing, I said. You forgot that Ethan heard your phone call last night about making sure the timer worked. He's just a child. He doesn't understand. He understood enough to save both our lives. The patrol car doors slammed shut. Amanda was gone. Mrs. Peterson approached me slowly. Nathan, honey, I am so sorry. We had no idea. Neither did I, Mrs. Peterson, until this morning. What happens now? Now I make sure my son feels safe again, and I testify at her trial. Captain Morris walked over. Mr. Bradley, the FBI wants to interview you tomorrow. This kind of insurance fraud falls under federal jurisdiction. Of course. Also, the media is going to hear about this. Attempted murder by spouse for insurance money? That's front page news? I looked around at my neighbors, my house, my life that Amanda had tried to destroy. Let them hear about it. Maybe it'll warn someone else. My phone buzzed. Text message. From Ethan, at Julie's sister's house. Dad, are you okay? Is the bad stuff over? I typed back. I'm okay, buddy. The bad stuff is over. Come home whenever you're ready. Is Mom really not coming back? That was the hardest question. How do you tell a 7-year-old that his stepmother tried to murder his father? Not for a very long time, Ethan. But you and I are safe now. Good. I love you, Dad. I love you too, buddy. More than you know. As the crowd dispersed and the police finished their work, I sat back down on my porch steps. 3 hours ago, I'd been a boring insurance investigator, married to a beautiful woman. Now, I was a single father who'd survived attempted murder. And you know what? For the first time in 3 years, I felt like myself again. The FBI interview room was smaller than I'd expected. Agent Sarah Collins sat across from me with a thick file and a digital recorder. Mr. Bradley, let's start with the timeline. When did you first suspect your wife was planning something? Honestly, this morning, in the airport parking lot? Nothing before that? Red flags, yes. Suspicions, no. I thought she was just, unhappy. Agent Collins opened the file. We've been investigating Amanda's gambling activities for 6 months. She owes money to some very dangerous people. How much? Total debt, including interest and penalties, $890,000. I felt sick. She told me it was under control. Mr. Bradley, people have been murdered for owing these groups $50,000. Amanda was way past the point of negotiation. So killing me was her only way out. Killing you was her best way out. Clean money, no questions asked. Agent Collins slid a photograph across the table. Security camera footage from Atlantic City. This was taken at 2:15 a.m. this morning, 36 hours after she supposedly left for Denver. The photo showed Amanda at a casino table, poker chips stacked in front of her. She was smiling. She was gambling while waiting for me to die. Gets worse. After your son warned you, we monitored her phone. She made 3 calls between 10:30 and 11 a.m. To who? First call to Trevor Walsh. That went to voicemail. Second call to Vincent Torelli's organization. Third call to a charter flight service in Atlantic City. She was planning to run. Private jet to the Cayman Islands. Same account where she'd stashed the money. Agent Collins showed me another document. Bank records. Amanda's been moving money offshore for 4 months. Not just what she stole from you, insurance fraud proceeds from previous claims. Previous claims? Mr. Bradley, your wife has been married 3 times. 2 previous husbands died in accidents. House fire in Ohio. Carbon monoxide poisoning in Michigan. The room went silent. I stared at the documents. She's done this before. We believe so. Both cases resulted in substantial insurance payouts. Both husbands had recently increased their life insurance. Why wasn't she caught? Different states, different investigators, different last names. She was smart about spacing them apart. I thought about Ethan, about how close we'd come. What happens now? Amanda's agreed to cooperate in exchange for life in prison instead of the death penalty. She's confessing? To the attempt on your life? Yes. The previous cases are still under investigation. Agent Collins closed the file. Mr. Bradley, you and your son are lucky to be alive. Most people don't get warnings. Most people don't have 7-year-olds who eavesdrop on phone calls. How's Ethan handling this? Better than expected. Kids are resilient. That wasn't entirely true. Ethan was having nightmares, asking questions I didn't know how to answer. But he was safe. That's what mattered. 2 weeks later, Amanda was sentenced to life without parole. I didn't attend the hearing, but Julie did. She looked different, Julie told me afterward. Older, defeated. Did she say anything? Asked if you and Ethan were doing okay? What did you tell her? I told her that wasn't her concern anymore. The local news covered the story. Insurance investigator survives wife's murder plot. Channel 7 interviewed me in my backyard. Mr. Bradley, how does it feel to know your wife tried to kill you? It feels like betrayal, I said, but it also feels like justice. What would you want other people to know? Trust your instincts and listen to your children. They see things we miss. The interviewer asked about the future. What's next for you and Ethan? We're going to rebuild together. That night, Ethan and I sat on the porch steps, same spot where Amanda had been arrested. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything, buddy. Did Amanda ever love us, or was it all fake? I thought carefully before answering. I think she loved the idea of us, but she loved money more. Will we be okay without her? Ethan, we're going to be better than okay. He leaned against me. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the phone call sooner. You told me exactly when you needed to. You saved our lives. Really? Really. 6 months later, the insurance company awarded me a commendation for exposing fraud. Northwestern Mutual used our case in training seminars. How to spot internal threats, they called it. I went back to work. Different department, domestic fraud cases, helping other people recognize what I'd missed. Ethan started therapy. Dr. Rodriguez said he was processing the trauma healthily. He's a brave kid, she told me. Braver than most adults. He gets that from his mother, his real mother. Tell me about her. Sarah was everything Amanda wasn't. Honest, genuine, present. Do you think you'll date again? Someday, but not for a while. I need to focus on being Ethan's father. And yourself? And myself. The house felt different without Amanda. Lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted. I kept the gas detection system the fire department had installed. Paranoia, maybe, but Ethan slept better knowing we had alarms. Dad, he said one night at dinner, I'm proud of you. Why is that? Because you protected us, even when it was scary. You protected us too, buddy. We're a team. Forever. Forever. That night, after Ethan went to bed, I sat on the porch again, looking at the stars, thinking about second chances. Amanda had tried to take everything from us. Instead, she'd given us something precious, the knowledge that we could survive anything together. 3 months after Amanda's sentencing, the FBI case expanded. Agent Collins called me on a Tuesday morning. Nathan, we need to talk. Can you come in? At the federal building, she showed me a conference room full of evidence boxes. Amanda's previous marriages, we've reopened both cases. And both were murder, sophisticated planning, insurance fraud, same pattern as yours. She handed me a case file. Thomas Morrison, Amanda's first husband, died in a house fire in Cleveland, 2018. Accelerant found in multiple locations. Timer device in the basement. Amanda collected $450,000. Same as our case? Identical methodology, right down to the offshore accounts. The second file was thicker. James Patterson. Husband number 2. Carbon monoxide poisoning, Detroit, 2021. Furnace tampering. Amanda was visiting her sister in Chicago when it happened. Perfect alibi. How much did she collect? $800,000. Plus, she inherited his house. I studied the photographs. Both men looked like me. Middle-aged, trusting expressions. Wedding photos with Amanda smiling beside them. She had a type. Insurance investigators, accountants, engineers. Men with steady incomes and life insurance policies. How did you connect the cases? Amanda's cooperation. She gave us everything in exchange for avoiding the death penalty in federal court. Agent Collins pulled out a transcript. Amanda's confession, 127 pages. She admits to planning all 3 murders, says she never intended to hurt Ethan, but she would have. Gas explosions don't discriminate. If Ethan had been home, I didn't finish that thought. What happens to the previous cases now? Ohio and Michigan are filing murder charges. Amanda will serve multiple life sentences. Will I have to testify? Probably. Your case is the most complete. You survived, we have evidence, and Ethan's testimony about the phone call. Is Ethan going to have to testify? Not if we can avoid it, but his warning was crucial evidence. That afternoon, I picked Ethan up from school. He was quieter than usual. Dad, kids at school are talking about us. What are they saying? That we're famous, because we were on the news. How does that make you feel? Weird. I don't want to be famous for something bad. Ethan, what you did wasn't bad. You were brave. But Mom, Amanda, she did bad things. Yes, she did, but that's not your fault, and it doesn't define us. That night, Dr. Rodriguez called. Nathan, Ethan's processing this remarkably well, but he's going to need continued therapy. For how long? Trauma like this? Years, maybe decades, but he's resilient. Any specific concerns? Trust issues, fear of abandonment, hypervigilance around new people in your life. Meaning? If you start dating again, Ethan will likely be suspicious of anyone new. That's normal. I'm not ready to date. When you are, involve Ethan in the process. Let him meet anyone you're considering seriously. And if he doesn't like them, trust his instincts. He's earned that. The media attention continued for weeks. People magazine ran a feature, The Boy Who Saved His Father. 60 Minutes wanted an interview. I declined most requests, but I did agree to speak at an insurance fraud conference in Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, I told the audience, domestic fraud is the hardest to spot because it's personal. We want to trust the people we love. After my presentation, a woman approached me, middle-aged, nervous. "Mr. Bradley, my husband recently increased his life insurance, and he's been acting strange." "What kind of strange?" "Secretive phone calls, new friends I've never met, financial changes he won't explain." I gave her Agent Collins's card. "Call her. Even if you're wrong, it's better to be safe." 2 months later, Agent Collins called. "That woman from your conference? Her instincts were right. Her husband was planning a staged car accident." "Seriously?" "Your story gave her permission to investigate her own suspicions. Probably saved her life." That made everything worthwhile. The media attention, the testimony, the pain of reliving Amanda's betrayal. If our story helped one person, it was worth it. The insurance industry recognized our case as a landmark. Northwestern Mutual created new protocols for spousal life insurance increases. The Bradley Protocol, they called it. Additional verification for policies over $1 million. I was promoted to senior fraud investigator, specialized in domestic cases. "You've got a unique perspective," my supervisor said, "personal experience that other investigators don't have." The work was meaningful, helping other families recognize warning signs, teaching seminars on financial abuse patterns. But the best part was going home to Ethan every night. "Dad, I'm proud of our story," he told me one evening. "Why's that?" "Because we help people. Mrs. Peterson said you saved that lady from Chicago. We saved her, buddy, you and me. I like being a hero with you." "Me too." 6 months after Amanda's sentencing, Vincent Torelli was arrested for racketeering. Trevor Walsh testified against him in federal court. Amanda's gambling debts disappeared with Torelli's organization, but the trauma remained. Ethan still checked the gas stove before bed. I still set the security alarm every night. We both slept with bedroom doors open. Hypervigilance, Dr. Rodriguez has called it. Normal response to betrayal trauma. Will it ever go away? It'll evolve. You'll learn to distinguish between real threats and phantom fears. And until then? Until then, you protect each other, like you've been doing. The house went up for sale in spring. Too many bad memories. We found a smaller place across town. Ranch style. No basement. All gas appliances professionally inspected. Fresh start, I told Ethan. Good. I never liked that house anyway. Why not? It always felt like Amanda's house. This feels like ours. On moving day, Mrs. Peterson brought us cookies. "Nathan, honey, you've been the talk of the neighborhood. In a good way." "How so?" "People are having conversations about trust, about watching out for each other. You started something important." That night in our new house, Ethan and I sat on the back deck, stars visible through the clear suburban sky. "Dad, can I tell you something?" "Always. I'm not scared anymore." "Of what?" "Of bad people. Because I know you'll protect us. And I know you'll warn me if something's wrong. Deal?" "Deal." 3 years later, Amanda died in federal prison. "Heart attack," the warden said. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sadness, just closure. Ethan, now 10, asked if we should feel bad for her. "She was sick, Dad. In her mind." "Yes, she was. But being sick doesn't excuse what she did." "I know. I'm just glad she can't hurt anyone else." "Me too, buddy. Me too." 5 years after Amanda's arrest, I married Dr. Elizabeth Foster. Yes, the same Elizabeth Foster who'd been Ethan's school counselor, who'd noticed his behavioral changes before the crisis, who'd recommended Dr. Rodriguez for trauma therapy. "I want to marry someone who already knows our story," I told Ethan when Elizabeth and I started dating. "Good," he said. "I trust her. She helped us." Elizabeth understood our boundaries, our security systems, our hypervigilance around new people. She didn't try to change us. She adapted to us. Trauma-informed love, Dr. Rodriguez called it, respecting each other's healing process. The wedding was small, close friends, family. Mrs. Peterson, now in her 80s, served as unofficial grandmother. "Nathan, honey," she said at the reception, "you deserve this happiness." "We all deserve second chances, Mrs. Peterson." Ethan, now 12, walked Elizabeth down the aisle. His choice. "She's not trying to replace Mom," he told me. "She's adding to our family." Smart kid, wise beyond his years. Elizabeth moved into our ranch house. No basement. All gas appliances annually inspected. Security system with redundant monitoring. Do you think we're paranoid? I asked her one night. I think you're appropriately cautious. There's a difference. And you're okay with the precautions? Nathan, I fell in love with who you are now, not who you were before. This vigilance is part of protecting our family. Our family. I like the sound of that. The insurance fraud seminars continued. Elizabeth sometimes joined me, speaking about recognizing emotional manipulation patterns. Financial abuse often starts with emotional isolation, she'd tell audiences. Victims are trained to doubt their own perceptions. How do you rebuild trust after betrayal? Someone always asked. Slowly, Elizabeth would answer, with transparency, with patience, and with professional help. Ethan thrived in his teenage years, honor roll, soccer team, close friends who knew our story and didn't treat him differently. Dad, he said during his senior year, I want to study criminal justice. Why? Because of what happened to us. I want to help other families spot dangerous people. You sure? I'm sure. Our story has purpose. I want to use it to help people. At his graduation, Ethan's valedictorian speech referenced our experience. 5 years ago, my stepmother tried to kill my father for insurance money. I stopped it by trusting my instincts and speaking up. The audience was silent. Then thunderous applause. I learned that children's voices matter, that families can survive betrayal, and that sometimes the scariest monsters look exactly like normal people. More applause. Elizabeth squeezed my hand. But I also learned that good people outnumber bad people, that communities protect each other, and that love rebuilds what evil tries to destroy. Standing ovation. After the ceremony, Agent Collins approached us. She'd become a family friend over the years. Nathan, there's something you should know. Amanda's case became FBI training curriculum. Meaning, every new agent learns about domestic insurance fraud using your story. You've probably prevented dozens of similar cases. Ethan prevented this one, and now he's inspired to prevent others. That summer, before Ethan left for college, we took a road trip. Just the three of us, Elizabeth, Ethan, and me. Where should we go? Elizabeth asked. Somewhere Amanda never took us, Ethan said. Somewhere completely new. We drove to Colorado, hiked mountain trails, stayed in small hotels, made memories untainted by the past. On our last night, sitting around a campfire, Ethan looked at us thoughtfully. You know what I'm grateful for? What's that? I asked. That I listened to my gut that morning, that I trusted you enough to tell you what I heard. I'm grateful you did too. Elizabeth added, I'm grateful you both survived to find happiness again. We sat quietly, watching the fire. 3 people who'd found each other through tragedy and chosen to build something beautiful. Dad, Ethan said eventually, do you think our story has a happy ending? Ethan, our story is still being written, but this chapter is pretty perfect. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. And remember, trust your instincts, listen to your children, and never ignore the warning signs, no matter who's giving them. Sometimes the people closest to you are the most dangerous, but sometimes love really does conquer all.